Hello everyone, and welcome to our ICMR 2026 video presentation. In this video, I will introduce our work, CERA, Conflict-Explicit Reflective Agent for Multimodal Emotion Reasoning. Multimodal emotion recognition aims to understand human emotions by jointly analyzing visual signals, such as facial expressions and body movements, together with textual information. Recent multimodal large language models have shown promising abilities in emotion understanding. However, in real-world scenarios, human emotional expressions are often not perfectly consistent across modalities. For example, a person may smile while saying something negative, disappointed, or sarcastic. This inconsistency between visual and textual emotional cues is what we call modality emotion conflict. Many existing methods tend to treat cross-modal conflict as noise. They try to align modalities, suppress inconsistencies, or redistribute attention to obtain a more stable prediction. However, we argue that in emotion understanding, conflict itself can be an important signal. A smile does not always mean happiness. It may indicate politeness, suppression, nervousness, or even sarcasm. Similarly, negative text alone may not fully determine the final emotion because the visual behavior may provide another explanation. Therefore, the key challenge is not simply how to fuse visual and textual information. The real question is, can the model explicitly perceive the conflict, evaluate it, and use it to infer a more reliable emotional state? To study this problem, we analyzed several representative MLLMs on the MFW dataset. We found that modality emotion conflicts are very common, with conflict proportions ranging from 43% to 84.2%. More importantly, recognition accuracy drops sharply under conflict scenarios, with decreases from 19.1% to 42.6%. This reveals that existing MLLMs lack a structured mechanism to reason over emotional inconsistencies. To address this challenge, we propose CERA, short for Conflict-Explicit Reflective Agent. CERA is a training-free, conflict-aware, and language-driven agentic framework for multimodal emotion reasoning. Instead of suppressing conflicting cues, CERA treats them as meaningful, interpretable, and refinable emotional signals. The core idea of CERA is a three-stage reasoning loop. First, perception, where fine-grained emotional cues are organized into emotion graphs. Second, evaluation, where a reward model evaluates these graphs and produces language feedback. Third, reflection, where the feedback is converted into graph editing instructions for iterative refinement. In this way, CERA does not make a one-shot prediction. Instead, it simulates a human-like reasoning process: observe, evaluate, reflect, and refine. The first module is Conflict Perceptive Emotion Graph Construction, or CGC. Standard MLLMs often generate a global emotion description directly. However, this may overlook local emotional cues, such as facial action units, body posture, emotional words, tone indicators, and the relationships among them. To address this limitation, CERA represents emotional evidence using structured emotion graphs. Specifically, CERA constructs three types of graphs. The first is a video emotion graph, where nodes represent visual cues such as facial expressions and body movements. The second is a text emotion graph, where nodes represent emotional words, tone, or rhetorical signals in the text. The third is a cross-modal emotion graph, which connects video and text nodes and explicitly models whether they are consistent, complementary, or conflicting. With this graph structure, the model no longer only answers, "What is the overall emotion?" It can also answer, "Which cues support this emotion? Which cues contradict each other? And does this contradiction imply a hidden or suppressed emotional state?" During later iterations, CGC further updates these graphs according to editing instructions from the reflection module, such as removing redundant edges, correcting emotion labels, or adding missing emotional cues. The second module is Reward-Guided Conflict Feedback, or RCF. After constructing the emotion graphs, CERA needs to evaluate whether these graphs are reliable. To do this, we use a frozen human-aligned reward model to score the video graph, the text graph, and the cross-modal graph. The score reflects both emotional coherence and structural validity. For example, whether the emotional relations are consistent, whether the graph follows the expected schema, and whether important cues or conflicts are missing. Then, instead of using only numerical scores, CERA converts the evaluation results into natural language feedback. For example, the feedback may say that the visual graph captures smiling behavior well, but the cross-modal graph fails to explain the contradiction between the positive facial expression and the negative text. This is important because RCF does not only judge the graph quality. It also tells the model what should be improved in the next refinement stage. The third module is Language-Driven Conflict Refinement, or LCR. LCR takes the language feedback produced by RCF and converts it into concrete graph editing signals. These signals may suggest removing an incorrect edge, refining an emotion label, or adding a missing cross-modal conflict relation. The generated editing signals are then sent back to CERA for the next round of graph refinement. In our implementation, the perception, evaluation, reflection loop is repeated for 2 iterations. Finally, the refined emotion graphs are combined with the original video and text inputs for final emotion prediction. This gives CERA 2 important advantages. First, it is training-free and requires no parameter updates. Second, it provides an interpretable reasoning process showing how the model detects, evaluates, and resolves emotional conflicts. We evaluate CERA on 2 widely used multimodal emotion datasets, MFW and CH-SIMS. On MFW, CERA achieves the best overall performance among all training-free methods. Compared with the strong baseline in TurnVL3-8B, CERA improves F1 by 3.23%. On CH-SIMS, CERA also outperforms all training-free methods. Compared with TurnVL3-8B, CERA improves ACC3 by 6.57%, showing a clear advantage in fine-grained sentiment classification. We also conduct ablation studies. Adding CERA improves the baseline performance. Adding RCF further improves the results. When all 3 modules, CERA, RCF, and LCR, are included, CERA achieves the best performance. This verifies the effectiveness of the full perception, evaluation, reflection loop. More importantly, under conflict scenarios, CERA significantly improves multiple MLLM backbones. For InternVL3-8B, InternVL2.5-4B, and InternVL2.5-2B, CERA improves accuracy on conflict samples, respectively. It also reduces the performance degradation caused by modality conflicts. This demonstrates that CERA improves not only overall recognition accuracy, but also the model's ability to handle emotional inconsistency. Beyond quantitative results, we also analyze whether CERA improves interpretability. In the paper, we visualize confusion matrices before and after applying CERA. Before CERA, there are strong off-diagonal confusions between text predictions and vision predictions, especially between categories with opposite emotional polarity. After applying CERA, the prediction mass becomes more concentrated along the diagonal and opposite polarity confusions are reduced. This suggests that CERA not only improves recognition accuracy, but also stabilizes the reasoning process by resolving cross-modal inconsistencies. To conclude, our work makes 3 main contributions. First, we identify modality emotion conflict as a key challenge in multimodal emotion recognition and show that existing MLLMs suffer significant performance drops under conflict scenarios. Second, we propose CERA, a training-free, conflict-explicit, and language-driven reflective agent. By combining emotion graphs, reward-guided feedback, and language-driven refinement, CERA transforms modality conflicts from noise into interpretable reasoning signals. Third, experiments on MFW and CH-SIMS demonstrate that CERA achieves strong recognition performance and improves robustness and interpretability under conflict scenarios. Thank you for watching our presentation.